Dame and Big's brother, who is hip hop brother, who is no ID's friend, no ID my mentor. Now let the story begin. It's the hard knock life to a sell out picture. Us in the mall, popping iceberg and yell out, yeah, that's what we yell out, yell out. You know the name, do I gotta spell out or tell out? J-A-Y, they so shy. And he wanted to step to his idol and say hi. Running there like a mind and
great evening, good people. Welcome to the Bro Code Show. He is I am him. It's your boy, Mr. YM4C, aka Bro Troy, and it is about to go down on the Bro Code Show. We're in the building. Tonight is the first night of our two-part series called Do Mentors Matter? Now, as always, we're extremely excited to use this platform as yet another opportunity to serve in our purpose of sparking creative mindsets in both the young and the young at heart. Now, tonight we got a couple of awesome professionals in the house. We're going to be chopping it up about the impact that mentors make in the lives of children and even adults. Get your seatbelts ready because it's about to go down. So some may be asking if you've never seen this platform before, like, yo, what is the Bro Code Show all about? Well, I'm glad you asked. Bro Code Show is a live talk show, and it was created to discuss, uncover, justify, and dismantle the issues that concern us most as brothers, as a family, and of course, as a community. And we give that to you raw, uncut, and real respectfully. Now, most would define the Bro Code Show as a friendship etiquette or maybe a standard that men follow. Now, but around here, man, fellas, we look at as a bro as a loyal confidant, a stand-up guy that comes in all shapes, sizes, colors, and creeds. Our greatest desire is to embrace everybody in positive, popular conversation. So no, we're not in the business of bashing, belittling, or shaming anyone, but we do believe in being comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations, because we believe that that's where understanding starts. So as my grandmother would say, let's chew the meat and spit out the bone. So for those that are watching, we appreciate y'all. That's what makes it happen. We appreciate your engagement. We need you to do a few things for us. One, we need you to like and share this post right now. Not now, right now. Go to YouTube. For those that don't know the YouTube channel, look at the bottom of your screen right now. Go to YM4C TV. When you get to YM4C TV, click on two things, like and subscribe. Make sure you also hit the little bell in the right-hand corner so that way when we go live, you'll know it. We should also love all your comments, questions, shout-outs. Put those in the comment section. Throughout the show, we'll shout you out and let you know that we're listening and make sure that you can be involved and included. Also, we'd love to hear the topics of conversation that you'd like us to chew on. So if it's on your heart, if it's on your mind, please share that in the comment section. You can also go to our text feed at 919-714-9905, or you can email us at the email on the bottom of the screen right there, the Bro Code Show 20@gmail.com. So please like and share this post now. So fellas, it's been about a week, man. I know, I don't know about you guys, man, but sometimes the days just start colliding into each other. I don't know whether it's Monday, Thursday, or Sunday. But what I do know, man, is I want to make sure everybody out there knows that we are fist, not a finger, man. We got some dope bros on the line. So real quick, man, tell them a little bit about yourself. I think we got Mr. Whatever It Takes, Mr. You Matter, a.k.a. Kirk. What's going on, bro? How you feeling, man?
Hey, man, I'm feeling great. Really excited to get into this here is what we do, right? Mentoring. So I'm really excited today. And just, you know, when we talk about You Matter, which we talked about a little bit, I wanted to switch my platform, Troy, to a point of talking to the most important part of a human being, which is what goes on inside. So yeah, I'm excited.
I could dig that, man. I once heard that what you believe on the inside bleeds on the outside. Right, so it definitely starts with self, man. I appreciate that. We got the big homie. He looks like he is back at the crib. He's got his shirt on. Mr. I Am, man. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, good people, man? Glad they're doing the show. Not like I probably wonder about when I say Mr. When I call you Mr. I am, it's a new brand I got. It helps to build self confidence in who you are. I believe in daily. You got to speak the affirmation to yourself. Know that you are great. You are bold. You are confident. Most important, you're enough. If you're feeling down, feeling out, know that you are somebody. Because I am. You all are. We all are somebody. I am.
I knew I should have gone before him.
What you got, bro?
Nah, what's going on, people? And Kirk, shout out to you, man. I had on the You Matter shirt all day today, and
That's Untucked.
it led to a number of pretty cool conversations. So,
Absolutely.
but I much like everybody, I'm excited for the convo. Looking forward to it all week and ready to dive right in.
Absolutely, man. So we are the Bro Code. For those just checking in tonight, we'll be talking about this subject: do mentors matter? Now, some may say, man, that's a rhetorical question, and it may be, but we want to chew the fat. So we got a few special guests on the line. Obviously, ladies first. We have Miss Olivia Newton, who is currently serving as the executive director of AMI Kids North Carolina Family Services, and is also a professor at Central Carolina Community College in the Justice Studies Department. Olivia has a core belief that with confidence, the right support system, and a second chance, anyone can fulfill their destiny. Olivia, great to have you. Tell a little bit about how you feeling. Tell the people about yourself. What's your background? Maybe a little bit of the family dynamic. What makes you, you?
So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for letting me hang out with the guys today on the Bro Code Show. Let's see, what makes me me? I like to start off with who I grew up as. So I am a former foster child. I am a mother of 3 now. I'm mother to a 21-year-old Aggie. I went to Central, so that's a little but I also have a 15-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son. I am a childhood trauma survivor or thriver. I was a teen parent, and I was a child of a parent with a severe mental illness. So I think for me, working in this field, it gives me a little more insight because I was on that other side. So it gives me the opportunity to relate and build a good rapport with a lot of the youth and families that I work with.
Wow, that is awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you again for allowing us to take you on the Bro Code ride. So we appreciate you and thank you for joining us again. So we also have my good brother, Richard Thrash Jr. Richard has a master's degree in professional counseling and passionately believes that one should never stop learning because there will always be problems that need solutions. Richard serves both teens and adults as a mental health counselor and a licensed clinical addiction specialist. So Richard, what's happening, man? How you feeling? Tell the people a little bit about yourself. What's your background, family dynamic? And Richard, what makes you, you?
Just want to say thank you guys. Definitely really appreciate you allowing me to be a part of this show. I'm glad I'm just one of the bros now. Y'all put a code on me. I also see that a lot of you guys got Mr. this, Mr. that. Normally when I'm working with students, they call me Mr. T, but it's because my last name is Thrash, and sometimes they say trash. So I say just say Mr. T.
Well, you know I'm about to change your name on the show right now, right? You're gonna be Mr. T today.
I pity
that's fine.
Mr. Trash.
There you go. We changed your name. You're now Israel. There you go. You're no longer Jake.
Definitely appreciate it. As you mentioned before, I am a mental health counselor and a substance abuse counselor with Sigma Health Services as well. I'm also an assistant pastor at my church, Millennium Revival Center. Shout out to one of the best pastors in the world, M. Lamont Cooper. I also work at Connections Academy Middle School, is an alternative middle school for long-term suspended students. I'm an instructional assistant there, as well as I work with behavior support. I see myself as I love working with families. I am a family man. I love and I'm excited. I love being a daddy to my daughter that's in college and to my son that's a junior in high school. And I have been married for 20 years. And it's going to be 21 years, August 5th. So we're going to celebrate in this pandemic, no matter what it may be. I grew up, I would say, with 3 brothers, 2 sisters. My dad you could say probably about lived 10 minutes away from me. So I dealt with a lot of angry issues and all that, wondering why my dad was not in my life. And then I had a single parent mom that had to do a lot of crying, hurting, and trying to get us where we need to go. So she was a big inspiration in my life, as well as my older brother. My older brother is about 7 years older than me, but he played pretty much the dad of the home. So that mentor piece is a big piece because it played a big part of my life. So if anything, I can say I'm a servant. I'm a servant. I love to serve. I love to serve people, and I love to serve children and families. A part of my church, before I transitioned and gave that baton to somebody else, I did 14 to 15 years of youth pastoring. So again, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Good stuff, man. Well, we appreciate having you, man. So we're going to jump right into it, man. So please, if you're just tuning in, we're going to be chopping it up today with these great professionals about the subject matter, do mentors matter? Use the comment section. If you have comments, if you want to shout something out, please let us know. We'll bring it up on the screen. JC, I think you're up next, bro.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of keep everybody abreast of where we left last month. We spent over, 4 or 5 days, it seemed, really going into the conversation known as the talk. That talk, not the birds and the bees, but the one that parents, mentors, educators are having to have with their children and loved ones in an effort to prepare them for police encounters, out of fear, mainly that such interactions can go horribly wrong, possibly ending with someone losing their lives. We discussed how the images children are seeing of viral videos of deadly encounters and the resulting riots might be impacting both theirs and our mental states. In addition, we had the opportunity to talk to leaders from the community and young adults who have taken action in a number of impacting ways to benefit our society. Over the last 2-3 months, many of the brothers on this call and a few others, we've had the opportunities to talk to a lot of adults and children about the impact that this is having. I know when I was 10, I recall the riots that spurred from Rodney King's beating, but unlike now, I was able to turn off the TV. I had to wait until the next day's paper, as there wasn't social media to keep that image on replay. But nowadays, that's not the case. And between that and the COVID-19 pandemic, it's really increased the need for people of all ages to have someone that they can turn to talk candidly about how they feel about things. Research shows that quality mentoring relationships have had a lot of powerful effects on our youth in a variety of academic, personal, professional situations, yet 1 in 3 young people are going to grow up without this critical asset. There are a number of statistics, we may get into some of them along the conversation, that kind of go to show how mentoring matters, which is why I'm real excited to have educators and clinical therapists and a number of individuals in my corner and the people here on this call to really talk through this at large. And so I'm ready to get into it. Statistically, like we say, the answer to the question, do mentors matter, is an obvious yes. Based on personal definition, a mentor can also be a coach. It could be a teacher. It could be a peer, a faith leader, brother, sister, positive influence. If we all look down at our hands, every single digit will represent somebody that's impacted us over the course of our lifetime. And on this show, we've got a number of guests that are highly educated, have found success in their career. But I really want to dive into a couple questions. One in particular that I will throw first out to Olivia, if you're ready. I wonder what personal experience, or both, early in your life has helped shape your worldviews and help you to prepare for adulthood.
So I love that question. I think first and foremost, I want to say that I think for people, mentors come in different seasons and different developmental stages. So when I think back over my life, I think elementary school was probably particular teacher that was very compassionate and very understanding. When I think about middle school, I would probably say like my adopted dad. He's my adopted dad, but he's also a very strong, positive role model and male figure in my life. And then when I think about undergrad, to now, I would say I have a mentor that kind of stepped in when I was actually in kind of in a group home where I was supposed to be kind of being punished for some behavior that I had done when I was a teenager. This particular person, and it's crazy because I still talk to him today, but he definitely made a huge impact on my life because I'd been through so much. I think for a while I was atheist. I didn't even believe in God. And not only was he kind of a spiritual mentor, but he also let me know it was okay to be me. And it was okay to be strong, and it was okay to be assertive as a female. And I think for me, someone actually seeing me and seeing that I was capable of certain things really pushed me. I also had a professor that was really impactful in my life. He actually passed away a few years ago, but he was very impactful. He would tell me I would always come to his class late because I was working like 4 jobs. I had a young son then at Central, and he would say, and I would be walking down the steps answering the question that he was asking to the class. And I would say to him, he would say, Olivia, why are you always late? You need to stop being late. And I said, oh, I'm working all the time, working all these jobs. And he said, I just want you to know, don't let something as stupid or careless as you being late stop you from getting in the door. And when he told me that, it really made me reflect on some of the things that I was doing to sabotage my success. Mm-hmm. And it really kind of got me in check and helped me get myself together.
Cool. I appreciate you sharing. So how big of a role do you think those individuals played really in developing your life story now, as far as all the things that you've gravitated towards?
I think a lot. Now I like to be very transparent. I think growing up in foster care, you meet a lot of adults that are not the best role models or mentors. And so when you do meet positive adults that want to help you and have the right intentions, it's almost like a shock. Like you don't really trust them at first. So you have to get over that. But once I know, in particular, when I went to the group home and this particular guy kind of opened my eyes to that there are a lot of adults out here that actually care about these kids and want them to be successful and don't have any bad intentions and have the kids' best interests at heart. So I think it played a tremendous role, especially my relationship with him and my adopted dad played a tremendous role.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story. Richard, I'm going to throw the same question out to you. What personal experiences or both earlier in your life helped shape you or prepare you for all the things that you've gone to do within adulthood?
Well, I'm definitely going to say my mother. Bless my mother. She passed away at age 48. But I can say my mother was is and was the strongest person that I ever met in my life. For someone who started out, we in the projects and decided that she was going to get off welfare. I remember the words she said when I was young. She said, it ain't well and it ain't fair, and I'm getting off. And to see my mother with 6 kids get off welfare and to have home ownership, getting her own place, and having one of the highest paid positions in Michigan, going back to school. She had a GED, and she said, I was going back and I was going to turn that around. And to see my mother work 40, 50 hours, take care of us, and then get straight A's at a community college school and attain her associate's degree, it was mind-blowing to me. It told me that I could do anything. I seen her cry. I seen her hurt. And then also to even get into this field of nonprofit world, I called my mother an unofficial social worker. She didn't go to school for it, but my mother would take us everywhere. And when she went to go help the elderly people, we had to go help. I seen her take these 70, 80-year-old people and change their diapers and clean them up. And I was scared of that stuff, but I was like, my mother's amazing. She used to take us what we call back in the day, I don't think they call it now, soup kitchens. We had to go to the soup kitchen and help those who was impoverished or didn't have food, that was dealing with hunger. When we was at church, she made sure we go to the assisted living homes, and we had to go there and we had to sing church songs. My mother taught me all about who Christ was. When I looked at her, I understood the Bible even more to a whole nother level, as well as my older brother. You know, he's 14 and 15 years old and had to play the men of the house. he started teaching us responsibility and all these different things. So that helped me, because I know without them, I feel like that I probably would have been behind bars or something. And then just going to the military that I didn't mention earlier, I think that's important. I served my country for 3 years in the Army as a chef in the military, and going there, it helped me with that key word that I try to tell other teens and students and adolescents: exposure. It gave me exposure, saying it's bigger than where I come from. I grew up in Ben Harbor, Michigan, small town, very impoverished area. But when I joined the military and I started going different places, it showed me that it's bigger than where I come from. I can see more things in that, and that opened the door.
Oh man, that's an empowering story. I'm curious how all of that got you more focused into the work that you've done in the church, and you have a unique background to where you told us that you're a clinical, I won't say a psychiatrist, but a therapist will be the right term for the work that you do.
Well, I mean, they call it clinical mental health therapist, and then a licensed clinical addiction specialist, which is substance abuse counselor, and then just a mental health counselor, if you want to just say that.
Okay. How much do you think your background influenced your decision to kind of get more into that field of study?
I think my pain of being in a dysfunctional family, which helped out major. It was just a lot of things I didn't totally understand, a lot of doors that wasn't open, and I was trying to figure out why these doors not open, and I was trying to figure out why my dad wasn't there, and I was angry and lashing out on people and had to take anger management class and all these different things I couldn't understand, and I wanted a better understanding of it. And I think just to see how hard my mother worked, there was times I said, I ain't going as far, I'm giving up, I'm done. But then when I think about, wait a minute, I got my wife here. It was just my mother by herself, and she was still pulled this off. I said, wait a minute, let me close my mouth. And my mother just said, be quiet, because you don't have no excuse. I had to deal with these 6 kids. Now, on top of that, I had an auntie that my mother said when we was kids, adolescents, we had an auntie that was dealing with a disability. Guess what? She said, bring it into the house. So we had 7 people in the house.
Then more power to you.
And we still handle business. So I said, I don't got no reason to make sure that I go out there and handle my business. So anytime that I'm down and low, I think about what my mother went through. And I always say, I'm doing this not only for me and others, but I'm doing this for my mother. All the hard work she had to put through, the stress that she had to deal with, and just leaving this earth early. I said, I wanted to continue what she started. And that's what kept me going. That's what kept me going today.
Well, God bless both of you. Olivia, Mr. T, apparently is what we're calling you now.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And thank you for your service as well. Mr. Troy, why don't you remind the people back watching what's going on with the show and what they may have in store for prizes tonight.
Absolutely. So if you're just checking in, man, you're here with the Bro Coach Show. We're chopping it up and chewing on conversation about, do mentors matter? Now, we got a few people out here that's shouting this out, man. I have a special young lady that is near and dear to my heart. We want to give her some good look. Miss Ann. Miss Ann says, thank you for including the research, JC. It's clear that informal and formal mentors matter. We'll get into this question in a moment because I think it's relevant. But she also wrote, well, clearly mentors matter, but how do we maximize our impact? And I don't want to steal the thunder of another couple of our panelists, but I think that's a valid question. And of course, she said something to make me feel good, so I'm going to put that on screen too. She said, Troy, you are a mentor to many of us, not just you. Thank you for being you. You are more than welcome. I always say you got to let that light shine. Grandma used to make us sing it in the choir. Now we got to live it. So with that being said, shout out to you, Ann. We appreciate you. And thank you for watching. So if you're just checking in, we're chewing on the fact about do mentors matter. You got 2 great professionals in the form of Miss Olivia Newton from AMI Kids Family Services of North Carolina. She's the executive director, as well as my brother from another mother, Mr. Richard Thrash. He does it all, man. He does pastoring, he does SAYOP, mental health counseling. He's an advocate for parents and definitely a ball of energy. And glad to have all of you guys. So as always, we got to have a little fun. So we got a little segment here, Olivia and Mr. T. That's who you're going to be today. Called Say It Loud. I'm black and I'm proud. I'm black and I'm proud. So go and say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. It is an interactive trivia show. Excuse me, a trivia game show question. We're going to ask a question. And for those listening, we ask that you go in the comment section or you can text at 919-714-9905. It's on the bottom of the screen. If you missed it, the answer to the question. So tonight is going to be about black movies. All right, that's the category, black movies. So here's the question. You ready? What movie was Sanaa Lathan and Omar Epps in? What movie was Sanaa Lathan and Omar Epps in? Throughout the show, we'll take a look at the comments for those that who have an opportunity to answer the question. You might win some. I don't know. So I'm gonna ask the question one more time, and we'll move forward. What movie was Sanaa Lathan and Omar Epps in? We'll monitor the comments as the we got it. They done blew it. Who we got here? Chanel Bullock Harris. You got it, Chanel. We ain't gonna tell everybody. For those that are paying attention, Chanel got it right. Ruth Marie Riddick, you got it right too. And of course, I see you, Danielle. Get better on that leg too. Yolanda, your wife says she got it too, Mr. I am. I got a bonus. I'm gonna give y'all a bonus. Since y'all are doing well tonight, I'm gonna give y'all a bonus. So we know the answer to that question is love and basketball. Most would say duh, but I got one here. For those that are really movie buffs, let me see if you can get this one. What NBA team did Omar Epps play on during the movie? What NBA team? NBA. Clear. Oh, okay. I don't know if you were trying to say the team, Chanel, or you were trying to shout out the school because I don't know. We're going to leave it alone.
That was before the question.
Yeah, there you go. What NBA? Nah, it won't the Clippers. You was close though, but it ain't the Clippers. Anyway, what NBA team? There you go. Ruth, you got it, Ruth. Ding, 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 ding. Yolanda, you got it too, man. So thank you guys for playing. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Fist, not a finger. Kirk, I think you up next, bro.
Absolutely. So when we think of mentoring, we typically think of mentoring in a picture of the older generation mentoring the younger generation. And that's what comes to mind for most people when you talk about mentoring. But I'm very curious or interested in finding out when you guys have had a situation where you've been dealing with a student or a mentee and they've actually empowered you or taught you something in your personal life or professional life. So let's start with Olivia, if you would share with us.
Oh gosh, I have a few, but I'm gonna pick a particular a situation where I actually visited this young lady in detention, and this was for some charges that were kind of old. She'd made a lot of progress since then, but she said to me, well, Miss Olivia, I know that, it's going to be hard, but how do I still have these habits or these demons that I need to, work on. And I think it was there was a lot of synergy in that moment, because I feel kind of the same way. I think that if you are working with at-risk youth or families and you kind of had that experience in your own life, first, let me say that as an adult, even I have a lot of things that I have to work on. So it was definitely a moment of transparency. And I just told her, you never really get rid of the demons. They're just kind of, you learn how to cope and how to work on them. But the longer and the more you practice, the easier it gets. The more positivity you put in your life, the easier it gets. And I remember she started crying and she was like, no one's ever said that to me before. But then I, in turn, said to her, I'm glad that we shared this moment, because it makes me reflect on the fact that no matter how far you get in life, no matter how much education, no matter how many degrees, how many letters behind your name, we still have things, especially as a former foster. I know that you still have things that you have to work on. And I think that it is a daily process. And I think in order for a child or a family to trust you, you have to be transparent about that. Because if you come in like you're perfect, they're going to shut you off immediately because no one's perfect. So I think that for me, that's one of the biggest moments.
So thank you for sharing that. One word you said was trusted, and I Googled mentor because I wanted to know the dictionary define of what it was, and the first word it said was experienced and trusted. So yes, going in acting like you know it all does not work.
No.
Both of you have mentioned too, and we'll talk about this in a second, the spiritual piece that goes into your personal life, which is key. But what I want to know from you, Mr. T, and shout out to Ben Harbor Tigers. It's very hard for me to say that because I'm from the same state, but we were rivals.
Yeah.
And so I have much appreciation for your story based on I know your city. I know what it's like. And you really have to claw your way out of that city. So much respect to you in that. What I want to know, though, is two things. The question I already asked, and I want you to also answer, if for you to be effective, you have to be a forever learner to be a mentor.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that she mentioned that we're still learning. Just because we have letters and just because we have these accolades behind our name doesn't mean that we're not still learning. Because remember, a lot of us that's in these different fields when it's dealing with substance abuse, mental health, and all that, it's because we experienced that, whether it was our own personal experience or experienced that with family members or loved ones. So we have that sense of understanding. One of the things that I looked at, I think a lot of students or all my students really teach me a lot of things. Even though I come in with a lesson plan, I come in with all these different things, I learn a lot more than maybe these students learn, because there was a time I walked in the classroom and the student said something to me, man, it tore me up. It was so powerful. A lot of, the principals and some other people, you're doing a great job. We love you. We appreciate you. I went in the room, sat down, and I felt like, one of the teachers wasn't really helping me get the information so I can help the students. So I just kind of just sat there and just said, you know what, I'm gonna just wait kind of till the teacher tell me something. And one of the students kept looking at me, and I kept saying, why is that student over there looking at me? And I finally looked that way, and she just said out loud in front of everybody, she said, why are you here? And I'm telling you, when she said, why are you here? My heart dropped, because I know why I was there. I have a heart and a passion for working with youth and all that. But she's like, and I said, why did you say that? She said, because you ain't doing nothing. And I said, and I almost got, I got a little swollen because, mind you, this was the same student that was giving me a hard time when I was working with this student. But really what she taught me was, just because you're doing well, just because you got all this education, doesn't mean that you're still doing something. You still got to stay on your game. You still got to work hard. It doesn't matter. You can't slow down. You can't get into, because I guess I see myself in a relaxed stage, like, well, I'm doing good. I'm good. I can kind of relax and let them flow from that. And she also taught me that even though, Mr. T, I give you a hard time, I really care about you. I really care what you're giving me. So a lot of times we think students that's giving us a hard time don't care, but they really care. So that really let me know that no matter how far I get in life, still remain humble and work hard and be there for them students, even when people give you difficult times, because sometimes that's all they know is to give you a difficult time, because that's what they grew up with. But when you continue to show them love and be there for them, then they'll open up a little bit more. So that's kind of some of the things that I feel like that I learned from students.
Perfect. I appreciate your answers. So let's transition to a second question for both of you. And I guess with COVID, like they didn't train us for this COVID thing. Now, I do believe that you got to stay ready, but this is a little different. And I want to talk about learning when it comes to educators and students and mentors. And I guess I'm gonna start with you this time, Richard. How can educators, parents, and mentors support the social things that are going right now? What kind of conversations? Because this is different. I've been with you at the school. We can't show back up after this and come with the same stuff. How is this different? How does that look?
Yeah, especially with everything that's going on, you're dealing with a lot of, which I know some you guys may even know that the overdose has risen tremendously since this pandemic. Mental health issues has tremendous risen since this pandemic. A lot of people don't know who to go to. Students that I was talking to at first, I'm no longer talking to them. And for some of them, a lot of them said, you was the only person really that I wanted to talk to, because I couldn't really talk to my parent or whoever the case it may be. So I think the most important thing is communication in the home. I think that's where it always starts. I think finding ways to make sure that you are communicating with your children. What I do, I tell my children, I say we sit down and have meetings every Sunday, and I sit down and I say, how you feeling? What's going on? Be open, be honest. We won't get upset if you're feeling like I'm bored, I'm tired, because you need to know those things. I work in the substance abuse field, and a lot of my clients, especially those teen clients, one of their favorite words, I'm bored. Nothing to do, no activities. I want to go back and use again. And that right there, boredom could be a major trigger into going back and doing some of those old habits instead of taking on those new behaviors. Then from that communication, once you find out those needs and what's going on, you got to really, and I'm going to say this before the communication, let me take this back. You got to have a trusting relationship, because that's the problem. It's hard to communicate with somebody you don't trust. Definitely hard. So I think you got to have that trust relationship, communicate, open those needs up, and then also have a sense of discernment. I think that's very important. Have a sense of discernment, knowing that something is not right, something is going on. Because sometimes we got to identify our own issues, man. I'm struggling. We got to tell ourselves, I'm struggling in this pandemic. What do I need? So I know if I'm struggling, I know my kids or my significant other may be struggling. So having that sense of discernment, being able to say, I know you don't really want to talk about it, but I'm sensing that I know you don't do the activities that you used to do. I know you don't do this, and I know you don't do that. I think we need to talk about it. And then going from there, taking it to exposure. Now, I know we can't just go out because of the stay-at-home orders and the different things that's going on, because in North Carolina, the COVID-19 has risen. You got another additional 2,000 cases. And so we can't get exposed. So now you got to use technology on a whole nother level, even though, that Zoom and all that stuff can be very tiresome. But just imagine having a family meeting with others that are out there that may not be in the home that you could connect with on Zoom or some other, technology that you can use online. So I think having that exposure to other people, connecting with them, whether it's a phone call or getting online and talking and encouraging. My biggest thing is it takes a village. And that's what it is. It takes a village of mentors to work together. So we all should be talking. What's going on? The uncle, the brother, the sister, the cousin, the coach, the teacher, everybody should be talking. What can I do to help? What can I do? What resources you don't have? Let me throw some resources your way. But what tends to happen is we got people living in their houses, isolated, not talking to nobody, wondering why the house is all up in shambles. And I think that's what it's going to take, those connections, to get to the connecting with each and everybody, not just our youth, but just everybody in general.
Thank you. And you remind me of the quote that talks about it takes a village. And if we don't have that village, that child will return to the village and burn it down for its warmth. Yeah. And so I'm very key when I see this happening across our country, where these young folks are doing things that we just didn't do. And so for me, that's a call out that we need to do even more work in mentoring. Miss Olivia, if you would help me with, you mentioned growing up as a foster child, and you talked about the seasons of mentoring. If you'd help me, how do you see this coming? What will be needed even more when this is over, when we go back to talking about mentoring youth?
First and foremost, I think that we need to use this or look at this as an opportunity, because if we look at it as a barrier, it might bring some negative connotation. I really want us to focus on the opportunity. For one thing, I've noticed that a lot of the kids that we work with, the teenagers, are more tech savvy than a lot of us.
Yes.
So I've come to the conclusion, and just recently, I let it be a teaching moment and let them see exactly what they can do. And I actually had one youth that was able to, provide us with an entire lesson on, YouTube, Zoom, like everything. And I said, you can market these skills. And so it showed him, and it was empowering for him because he never really thought about it. It's just something like he did daily. Coming out of this, I think, and I tell all my kids, I mentor some upward bound kids right now too. I say, utilize this time to work on a skill. If you have a skill, a tech skill, use this time to work on that skill, but don't lose kind of the personal connection stuff. There's definitely some stuff that you can do virtually that you couldn't do in person. For example, if we're meeting with a family in the home, sometimes we would meet with families in the home and everyone would be in a different room. And we might have to like stand in the hallway and call out to the different people versus now, almost everybody, I'm not gonna say almost everybody, but a lot of the families that we work with, everybody has a device. Now, some families don't, but a lot of the families, everybody has a device. So we could be doing, you know, a Zoom call, whatever, and then everyone is tuned in on their own device. So they're all there. So that's something that I found really helpful. I think when we come out of this, it's just going to be, for the more extroverted kids, they might be kind of running out like people. For the more introverted kids, my fear, I work with my introverted kids because I don't want them to get too comfortable being behind a screen. So it's going to be some of that, kind of just the social skills that we've been trying to work with kids anyway, using like with social media and on a screen all the time.
Olivia, thank you for that. And I want to just finish with mentoring. And I just believe that when you mentor, it's best, and you both have mentioned it a little bit, to listen and bring out what's already there in the student or mentee, versus we try to tell them what they need to do. And so that's going to be more important now than ever. I'm gonna pass the mic over to my brother Art as he.
Before we do that, man, I appreciate you, Kirk. I want to check in really quickly for those that may have just been tuning in. You're tuning into the Bro Code Show. We're doing the fact on the subject matter: do mentors matter? We've talked about a few things, the experiences of our guests, Miss Olivia Newton, as well as Mr. Richard Thrash, and how their experiences growing up have affected their view on life, as well as some important people that helped them as they grew up. I've heard a few things such as accountability. Definitely want to give a shout out to all the strong women out there, man. Richard, you grew up with a strong mom as well. I grew up with a single mom. Hey, Ma, I love you. And my grandparents. And so definitely want to, another word I heard was positivity, right? Was believed on the inside, bleeds on the outside, right? Hate is taught, but so is love, right? As well as two key words, which is trust and communication. So want to shout out the audience really quickly, man. Yolanda said yes when we were talking about trust. So true. We must have trust. And also wrote the world advances at the pace. I'm sure that's supposed to be of trust. And it also says, it takes a village to save a child. And shout out to Mrs. I Am, who wanted to let us know that this is a great conversation. And wanted to shout you out too, Cornelius. You are an amazing facilitator. Thank you for sharing your skills. So kudos to you, man. That's fist, not a finger. We got a dope team, y'all. I told you we were dope. It's the Bro Code. That's what we do. So with that being said, man, thank you for checking in. Please continue to follow in the chat. If you have a comment, please let us know. If you have some thoughts, if you want to just give kudos, please do that. With that being said, we do want to pass the mic to my brother from another mother. I think you're up next, Art.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, so going up in a small town like Hereford. No, I never heard about like mentors and anything like that. The most we ever had was the Boys and Girls Club. So it wasn't a lot of different organizations, a lot of people mentoring. So moving to Raleigh in 2010, I learned a lot about different organizations and different people being introduced to Neighbor to Neighbor, which was also a youth group I dealt with in Raleigh with Rose Hathcock, and also with the urban group called Young Life. So being an experience and seeing that and just having a passion for the youth, I know this one is called a large amount of lived experiences, the clinical experiences on the show, and taking all the experience and now if you have a consideration, I want to ask you guys, what are some gaps in the services that we have now? What are some of the gaps in services that you think we have and are not having that you see in the center that we need? Starting with you, Miss Olivia.
So again, I'm going to speak transparently. I think that treatment is wonderful. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor. I'm a qualified supervisor. Treatment is wonderful. It can be amazing. Someone actually alluded to it before. I think sometimes natural supports are forgotten. And those supports in the community that might be overlooked because they might not be as big as other programs. I think that sometimes you really have to research, especially in those rural communities. We work in those too. And it might be, you know, the baseball coach who can provide some volunteer opportunities, or it might be, you know, either the youth pastor or the church that can provide the family with a place to maybe meet for sessions. It might be the person down the street, the lady down the street that knows a skill. Let's say she knows how to cook really well, or she knows how to do hair. And she can actually work with youth and teach them a skill that they can grow from. I think a lot of times natural supports are forgotten. And I think that really needs to be revamped. Also, I think that sometimes with certain things that kids do, I work with kids that have charges. And so if they commit a certain charge or get a certain charge, it's almost like they're untouchable. And that's really disheartening to me, because I think, like, I'm going to be transparent, like youth sex offenders, or, you know, youth that have like maybe gun charges or gang affiliated. To me, that's the population of youth that we need to be working with. I'm not going to say the most, but just as much, because that one mistake could change the whole trajectory of their life, and they need that mentor in there. I think that's about it for me.
That's great. That's cool. And that's exactly about what you said about the youth. When I first moved to Raleigh 09, 010, I worked with urban youth in the Raleigh, the urban area over there on Blunt Street and over in the area with neighbor to neighbor. So they definitely also, what you said, that's not needed the most, but having more care of. So the same question to you, Mr. T. What are some of the gaps you see in the service that we may need in the system?
I think somebody might think I'm different, but I think strong family services. I'm going to say that all day. When I was working with Building Together Ministries as a youth director while I was doing youth pastoring, I did summer camps, I did after school programs, track out camps. I did all those things, and I actually set up a wonderful military-driven after-school program. Some of the things that I wanted to do when I got out the military, and I work with these students. And you talking about students, some of the students that I work with can easily come to me and say, you know what, I was playing with my parents' gun and had some crack on me at second and third grade, telling me things like that. And I work with these students, and I seen the transformation in these students. But then they came back to school the next day losing it. So I used to get headaches when I said, man, I'm working with these students. I'm getting frustrated because it seemed like I got to start back over. And what was happening was I was working with the students, but I wasn't working with the parent. And a lot of times I think majority of the time we need to work, while we're working with that student, we need to work with the parents. Even when I work with these students that are dealing with substance abuse issues, how I hear them share things that they're open with me because they feel they're in a trusting relationship compared to what they would say to their parents. My parents don't know half this stuff, I tell you. And what I hear from a lot of adolescents is they don't listen to me. They're in so many words, they got a closed mind. They don't have an open mind. They don't understand what I'm going through. They don't know why I do what I do. So skip them. I ain't worrying about it. So having that parent component, I don't see enough of that. I don't work in a lot of programs, and I think it's that piece we need. Also, I think it's a rites of passage. I don't see a lot of programs dealing with the rites of passage. When I was dealing with working in the after school program, one of the gentlemen, he seen me a couple of years later, and he was like, hey. And I was disheartened. He told me that he was just got out of prison. And he said, Mr. T, man, you changed my life, man. But he said, man, when I left 5th grade out of that after school program, I went to this particular high school, and man, I got into everything. My whole life changed. I blew it. But I did. And I was looking, I said, he did well when he was in my program, but when he left. So I said, I think we need more programs that go from pre-K or K all the way to high school and finish high school and then come back. And I think we're missing that. And then also, last but not least, I think when you're dealing with the court system, I deal with clients that have charges, adolescents, and I will work on them in one area, but then the probation officers don't know what I'm doing, and then it's sometimes hard to connect with them, and then I don't know who the judge is working with that case. So we're all not working together. So I'm doing one thing, the probation officer is doing another thing, and then the judge doing another thing, and wondering why this kid is saying, I don't care, they ain't gonna do nothing to me. I'm gonna go rob another place. All they gonna do is call my mom and pick me up, and I get to go back home. So I think we're dealing with them, on top of when you deal with systemic racism, discrimination on top of that, because you do have some things out there that set up to help others and not those marginalized people or those minorities. So just a couple of those things, I think.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, real quick. I'm just curious. I got to give Mr. Thrash a shout out. So I just got a text message from Cherish Thrash, which I assume she let me know is your daughter. She asked, she said, is there a number to how many mentors you should have? And also, when should you get a mentor? Miss Olivia, if you don't mind. What's your thought?
I think if you're looking at professionally, I think I would do maybe 2 mentors at a time, because they're working with you on different facets of your life or specific skill sets. No more than 3, I would say, professionally. Now, if we're talking about mentoring youth, I would say don't have any more than you can handle as far as being consistent and being accountable. Because for some of these kids, you are going to be the most consistent person in their life. So you don't want to overload yourself, because if you can't provide that consistency for them and they've had a lot of mistrust or disappointment in their life, you might actually do more harm than good, if that makes sense.
How about yourself, Mr. Thrash?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Olivia. You definitely shouldn't have a whole bunch of mentors in your life. I think it's important to first have one mentor in your life and see if you can handle that one mentor before you start going to so many different others, because there are individuals who struggle with having at least one mentor, because I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. And why are you talking to me like that? Because sometimes we don't understand what a mentor is for. A mentor, I'm not your friend. I'm here to get you to where you're trying to go. And sometimes we look for that close friend instead of a mentor, and we get frustrated. So looking at that aspect, and then also understand that the mentor don't always have to be physical. That's one thing I had to learn. One of my mentors is Les Brown, or Eric. Thank God it's Monday. They say a lot of different things to me that really bless my life. So I can handle a certain amount of, but understanding let me try first with that first one, and then look at what else do I need a mentor for? Because you got some people out here just getting mentors just to go tell everybody, hey, I got 9 mentors. But are they effective mentors, or just somebody that's on your rap sheet or whatever?
Good stuff. Good stuff. If you're just checking
Troy,
in,
I'd like to add, it doesn't necessarily.
Go.
Oh, I was going to say, it doesn't stop at childhood. We as adults, especially in the corporate world, definitely need to find ourselves a mentor and/or, become a mentee, to someone else ourselves, because it's going to be important to get that individual to the next level, develop his or her skills, and hopefully find those areas where they can excel at. So it doesn't stop at childhood, and it's kind of a cyclical pattern as far as how many mentors you can handle even in the corporate environment.
Yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Well, I appreciate both of you guys here at the Bro Code Show, and we're speaking about mentors. I think it's only rightfully so that we introduce something called the Cool Kid Club. The Cool Kid Club is part of the mission of Y4C mentoring program, Y4C being Young Men for Christ, which is the platform which the Bro Code Show is underneath, to inspire creativity and a sense of pride in our youth. We genuinely believe self-awareness creates an enhanced self-assessment, which leads to positive decision-making, self-control, and emotional intelligence. We believe in giving credit where credit is due. So each month here on the Bro Code Show, we'll be highlighting the great things that our young people are doing, share their dreams and their accomplishments. So tonight, we are celebrating my man, Mr. Darnell Polk. We're going to pull this picture up here and share it on the screen, but and tell you a little bit more. But Mr. Poe, yeah, we got to give him a hand of applause. Give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. I think, hold on. I think I might have me a round of applause. Yeah, let me see if I can pull me up a round of applause. There it is. Darnell Polk is part of our Y4C mentoring program and has been with us since earlier this year, about February. He shared 6 weeks, and all of a sudden the world was put on pause, but it didn't stop him. We've created a video to share with you, so give us 1 second. We want to share that and celebrate Mr. Darnell Polk.
Hello, my name is Darnell Polk. I am 11 years old and going into the 6th grade. I love drawing, video games, and helping people. Most recently, I've taken on the challenge of learning the game of chess. I'm a believer in Christ and enjoy serving others. I have volunteered at the Wilmington Street Men's Shelter, feeding the men there. I have also handed out hats and gloves to the homeless during winter. Over the years, I have had quite a few accomplishments. I won Most Creative Business Idea at the Durham Children's Business Fair in 2018. This past week, I was accepted into the Be Strong Student Representative Program to help combat bullying, isolation, and youth suicide. I've also received numerous character recognition awards over the years in school. I am currently working on a comic book. It is my dream to be a cartoonist when I grow up.
Indeed, we celebrate you, Mr. Darnell Polk. He is the first Cool Club Kid representative. Oh, did we lose somebody? Here we go. So we definitely appreciate Darnell Polk and thank you for being our first Cool Club Kid. There you go, much applause. So with that being said, if someone out there, if you guys out there have a child or young adult that's doing great things and you would like for us to spotlight their efforts on our show, please reach out. You can send your information to our brocodeshow20@gmail.com. That's our email. Please, if you have any young people that are out there doing great things, we want to take the opportunity to spotlight them. So really quickly, I think it's about that time to wind on down, man. So JC, man, I'll start you off. You got any last thoughts for our guests?
Oh, yes and no, man. I really just appreciate you all for sharing your insights. I'm encouraged by the work that you're doing and the work that you're going to continue to do to support our youth and adults as we all look to excel and deal with the elements of the world these days. I'm looking forward to getting to know you outside of this screen and getting involved as much as I possibly can. But largely, I just want to take time to say thanks. You didn't have to show up on the show today, and it means a lot that you felt privileged to join our program and bless us with all of the things that you've been able to accomplish.
Kirk, how about yourself, bro? You on mute, bro?
So I would be the one. Listen, I just want to piggyback what he just said. And I want to thank both of you. Your passion for what you do comes out when you talk. There's no question. So I'm glad that both of you, from what I hear, turned your pain into purpose and paying it forward to other kids. So we encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. And thank you.
And how about yourself, Mr. I.M., man? What you got, brother?
I want to thank both of y'all for on the show, man. Great job. I spoke to Miss Olivia already last week. Speaking with you, Mr. Thrashman, I enjoyed you all. I enjoyed the conversation. You know, we got people out there that's really, man, for the youth and really making a difference in our community to make sure things impactful, keeping kids happy. Thank y'all.
Good stuff, man. So in 60 seconds left, Miss Olivia, you've shared a lot, but what would you like to leave with our viewer?
First of all, I want to thank all the mentors out there. What you're doing is wonderful for the youth and families in North Carolina. Second thing is, I never want anyone to underestimate the power of one. My mentors always worked with me, and think about how many people I impact now. I'm an executive director. I have a staff of about 30 people. I also teach, so I have students every semester that are hearing my story and hearing the good things. Last thing is, it's not about what you've been through. It's how you come out and how you get up.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you want to follow that, Richard, but I think you can do it, brother. 60 seconds left. What you want to leave the people, sir?
Just want to again say thank you, guys. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, and I'm glad that me and Miss Olivia was the first ones or a part of this show in the beginning. So when y'all start reaching the masses and millions, and y'all blow up, y'all won't forget about it.
Right? Baby. Yes, sir.
I just want to say that we're better together. We're better together, and I think that's important. And I think that instead of always being separate, let's come together. Let's not be selfish. The knowledge we have, let's not hold it in. The companies that we have, the organizations that we have, let's bring all them together. Let's talk about it, because we need to understand what people are forgetting. They're chasing the dollar, not realizing it takes a village to make this, to build all of us up, because you may be in the gated community and skipping out on those people on the other side, but that might be that one person that may take somebody out in your family while you're in that gated community. So whatever happens on the outside hurts everybody. So we're better together. Thank you.
Better together. I couldn't have said it best. So join us next week as we continue this robust conversation of do mentors matter? We'll be talking about the impact a non-judgmental, loving, consistent presence can make in the life of a child and adult. Next week, we'll hear from Dr. Monique Hosley Hyman. She's a wife, mother, educator, and a community activist who is passionate about education and service. She currently serves as a professor at North Carolina Central University. Go Eagles. And her motto is education is the key to success. We'll also hear from Mr. Brandon Moyer, who's the Director of Operations at AMI Infinity Wake County. Brandon has earned his master's also at North Carolina Central University, and he is currently pursuing his doctorate of education in leadership and innovation at St. Thomas University. Brandon lives daily by the quote coined by the great Frederick Douglass: I prefer to be true to myself, even at the hazard of incurring the ridicule of others, rather than to be false and to incur my own abhorrence. So make sure you set your alarm, Siri, Alexis, and Google Home for next Sunday, which is July the 19th at 6 p.m. We'll be same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you to our guests, our viewers, to my brothers for the dope night. And if you didn't do it already, go to YouTube, press like and share. Again, go to YouTube, press like and share, YM4C-TV, hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification, so that way when we go live, you go live. As always, we got to leave you with something positive.
This is it.
Like and camera. Focus on what's important. Capture the good times. Develop from the negative. And if things don't work out, take another shot. It's your boy, Bro Troy. Hey.
With levitation from musicians and events and these nothing show going with Rugas, flash lines, right left on tape bigger. Escape for what this work as we confiscate your favorite chance and over ground, levitating.